I want everybody to know what I'm about to talk to you about happened before October 7th. I'm going to talk about radicalism on college campuses. Sort of radicalism that has mainstream students getting propaganda, whether it's from their professors or whether it's from communist Chinese government through TikTok, calling the President of the United States Genocide Joe, calling you and President Clinton war criminals, actually stopping the naming of a building after Madeleine Albright because they claim, professors claim, some of the same professors that took part in the most radical elements of the protests over the past couple of weeks, called Madeleine Albright a war criminal. And we're still waiting for the building for Foreign Service to be renamed after Madeleine Albright. Here we have first Secretary of State that's a woman. Made history, just like you made history. But you've got mainstream college students. I know, because I've talked to a lot of college students over the past year or two. And they have this radicalized view of the Middle East, a radicalized view of American public servants like yourself, Madeleine Albright, President Clinton, Joe Biden, can name Republican presidents as well. And there's this radicalization. And I just want to know, first of all, it's distressing. What do we do about it so public servants aren't taught that American leaders are war criminals and that Joe Biden's not Genocide Joe, quite the opposite. And secondly, the stupidity of the slogans that ignore all the history since 1948 about what the United States has tried to do, about what you tried to do, about what President Clinton tried to do in bringing a two-state solution about. I remember when you talked about a two-state solution and it was considered radical. They couldn't believe, oh my God, Hillary Clinton actually is talking about a two-state solution. She hates Israel. And now that's been flipped to you're a war criminal, Madeleine Albright's a war criminal, Bill Clinton's a war criminal, Joe Biden. It's disgusting. And I want you to tell us what needs to be done, what you would hope would be done, one. Number two, how do we get Madeleine Albright's name on that building? Because she's been slandered in death. She's been slandered in death. A public servant who escaped the Holocaust, gave her entire life to the United States of America, and has been slandered in death by extremists, I'm sorry, funded by Qatar. And number three, I told you we were moving past therapy session. And number three, maybe this will get on YouTube if the communist Chinese will allow it to get on YouTube. Please tell any students watching what President Clinton and you put together in 2000 in the Oslo Accords. You gave the Palestinians a pathway to peace, and they were scared to take it because they knew they would be slaughtered by Hamas.
Wow, I don't know where to start, Joe, but you
go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
I need help.
Well, I want to make a couple of quick points because you raised, things that, need to be vented about. First of all, I have had many conversations, as you have had, with a lot of young people over the last many months now. And you're right. They don't know very much at all about the history of the Middle East or, frankly, about history in many areas of the world, including in our own country. But with respect to the Middle East, they don't know that under the bringing together of the Israelis and the Palestinians by my husband, the then Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, the then head of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, then the Palestinian Authority, Yasser Arafat. An offer was made to the Palestinians for a state on 96% of the existing territory occupied by the Palestinians, with 4% of Israel to be given to reach 100% of the amount of territory that was hoped for. And this offer was made, and if Yasser Arafat had accepted it, there would have been a Palestinian state now for about 24 years. It's one of the great tragedies of history that he was unable to say yes. My husband has a book coming out later this year, Joe, in which he talks about how Arafat kept saying he intended to agree, he wanted to agree, but he was, as you rightly point out, pretty sure he'd be killed because, Sadat was killed by extremists when he made peace with Israel. Our dear, dear friend, Yitzhak Rabin, was killed by a radical Israeli when he was pursuing the two-state solution. So this is a very important piece of history to understand if you're going to take any kind of position with respect to what's going on right now. And there's much more that we could go into, as you say, since 1948, but I mean, you could literally go back thousands of years. The important point I want to emphasize, though, is propaganda is not education. Propaganda, on whether it's TikTok or in the classroom, is actually the opposite of education. Anybody who is teaching in a university or anyone who is putting content on social media should be held responsible for what they include and what they exclude. And so much of what we're seeing, particularly on TikTok, about what's going on in the Middle East is woefully false, but it's also incredibly slanted, pro-Hamas, anti-Israel. And it is, not any place where anyone should go to get information about complex matters like what is going on there. So we have to do a much better job in trying to, number one, teach history at all levels. That's why I love SUFS, because it's about our history. It's a part of history we didn't all study and learn about. But it's also important that we recognize the propaganda value of social media. People are on social media oftentimes to press an agenda, an ideological, a religious, a financial, a political, a partisan agenda. And so, of course, you don't get the facts. Of course, you don't get any kind of context. And we have to do a better job ourselves, and we certainly have to do a better job with young people in trying to help them understand how to filter and interpret the information they're giving. And I think we also need to do a better job in our classrooms, particularly at the college and university level, not to fall into, easy absolutes. You're either this or you're that. You're for, you're against. Life is too complicated. History certainly is. So I agree that we've got to do something to, stand against a lot of these false narratives. And with respect to my dear friend, Madeleine Albright, she deserves to have anything and everything named for her.
Yes.
She lived the 20th century. She fled first from the Nazis, and then after returning to what was Czechoslovakia with her family, she had to flee the Soviet communists. She exemplifies what freedom means. She demonstrates what a great refuge America has been for people seeking freedom. And heaven forbid, if we don't protect this democracy, this Constitution, our values, our institutions against false narratives, against demagogic, wannabe authoritarian leaders, shame on us. But let's not forget people who helped us get to where we are and where I hope we will always be here in this country. And Madeleine Albright was certainly one of those whom I admire greatly.